Welcome to Random Irrelevant, presented by My Block TV. I'm your host, Oswald Williams. Tonight we have a very special guest. He's a filmmaker. He's a writer. Griffin Roessler. Nice for you to join us, bro. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
First and foremost, I want to say congratulations on your first film, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And you did animation. Talk to me a little bit about the story and what gave you the confidence. First and foremost, what gave you the confidence to want to dive in to something as technical as animation on your first try?
Sure. I grew up watching a lot of animation, a lot of animated films, and I always felt they had a tone that live action couldn't really bring, like a certain feeling. So when I tried to do this, it was based on the character I've been drawing most of my life, and I thought it would be the best way to kind of allow it to come to fruition. And I luckily found animators who really knew what they were doing, so I could kind of step back once I'd presented what I was trying to do.
Talk to us a little bit about the power of the internet. This project, you actually use the internet, right? I think there's a lot of nonsense going on the internet, but talk to me about your crew and how you built this crew.
Yeah, so there's about 3 or 4 of us that I went to college with, and then my composer is a good friend of mine, and everyone else I found off Craigslist over probably like a span of a year. So my animator's based in the Philippines, my other animator's based in India, and then my composer, he's out here. I mean, my sound designer's out here, but I found him off of Craigslist, and I found that by putting up ads for specific niche jobs, you get a lot of really professional people coming through, and you can kind of look for what works. And I was able to really find really good people. So I use Craigslist as almost like a sounding board for any type of thought I have creatively, and it usually works pretty well as long as you have patience with it.
So how different is this from recording with a camera, point and shoot, casting with dialogue? How different is animation, and was that tough for you to adjust to?
I think it's all I know now. What I found from doing it is we were working a lot off Discord, an app that's usually for gamers, and a lot of people now use it to have specific groups for their social media following. But we would talk on that almost like what we're doing now, and we could animate in real time, and I could give them notes and direction, and kind of allowed it all to kind of be off the top and have a type of spontaneity, I guess, that allowed me to figure out what I was trying to do. So we didn't have to stick to a script. We were just able to kind of work from conversations, and it allowed it to move a lot faster than if I was shooting and having to edit every night and having to kind of work out the story and talk with actors. It was all kind of very one-on-one like this, and allowed it to move pretty smooth. Yeah.
Awesome. So you talked earlier about this was a character you've been developing all your life. When you said developing this character, so you have a drawing background.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just what I've been doing since I was little. Since my dad draws a lot, my brother does, his mom and his dad drew a lot. So I think it's just there, Yeah.
One of the most difficult parts of short filmmaking, once you start getting into it, is a lot of times it's licensing music, and you got a little lucky with that. So talk to me a little bit about how did you come up with the music and the sound for this project?
Yeah. So my composer is a good friend of mine, and he's by far the most professional person on the film. He's been working for probably 30 years in doing that, and he works for really big films. He did some Beatles documentaries. He does a lot of Ron Howard's films, and he did it as a full-on favor for me. And I was able to give him a lot of temp tracks, musicians out of that were working in kind of specific electronic music, and he hadn't heard it before, but he really liked it. So we kind of were able to break it down and rebuild our own versions of it. It was really fun to see, because I can't do any of that stuff, and he's the best at it. So I think it really made everything a lot better and made the film kind of a lot smoother.
Okay. Random but Relevant, presented by My Block TV. I'm your host, Oswald Williams. We're here with the filmmaker, the writer, Griffin Roessler. Again, congratulations again, because animation, to me, just when I saw it, I knew it's a lot of technical stuff outside of from the filmmaker realm. So I just want to commend you on that.
Oh, thank you so much.
But just briefly, tell the audience what's the film about, what's the name of it, and just where can it be found?
Sure. So the name is Ascension. The story is basically about one specific character who's kind of dealing with debt and maybe some depression and trying to kind of get out from under all these problems. And you see that he gets a ticket to an island, and that island kind of opens up a new door, metaphorically speaking, even, and it kind of takes off from there. Yeah, and so it can be found on YouTube, Instagram. It's on TikTok as well, I think, all under Dark Line Collective, which is the art collective I put everything out under. Yeah.
Copy. What makes a good story to you?
That's a good question. I grew up reading a lot of novels. I grew up, I would read like a couple books at the same time, but I was reading like some, even like my favorite writer is probably Kerouac, just because of how quick and easy it is to kind of work in that way. And you might have to go back and edit, but it allows you to kind of just run. And I find that that's the way I work. But books, even like Scarlet Letter and Frankenstein when I was in high school, those were like these massive books, but the story is, you can take it out of it and it stands on its own. So I don't necessarily believe in a specific structure, but I just think specific stories where you can feel for the character and you can see why the character's doing what they're doing, and allowing that to kind of build to something. And that's kind of all I'm trying to do. Yeah.
So when I saw this film, by the way, was really good. I feel like you purposely leave a lot of there for the audience interpretation. Is that something you seek out to do as a writer?
Yeah, definitely. I found with this specific little film, it kind of allowed not too open-ended of an ending, but allowed you to kind of put in your own meaning. And I think that works in a lot of different ways, because it allows me to kind of step back, and it also allows you to kind of take from it what you will, and it might even be more important to you because of that, and I think you kind of have to like lead the character to a certain place, so you don't feel like the ending doesn't matter, but allows you to kind of, as a viewer, feel like it has specific meaning to you. I think would be the goal. I mean, hopefully. Yeah.
Let me ask you something. As a filmmaker, what really hurt me as a writer, I won't say it hurt me, but it's something I had to consciously work on, was once I started filming what I write, it was hard. It was hard for me to think big when I write and use my imagination. Now
Sure.
I only write to my resources. Talk to me a little bit about your style. Are you able to write beyond your resources and think big and tell that major story?
I hope so. I mean, I think the goal is kind of taking what's in your mind, just kind of almost like a daydream sense, and being able to kind of put that in a structure. I think that's what I was trying to do. A lot of this story is something that I would just think about on my own. Even when I was like swimming, I would just kind of like allow it to kind of build and see where it went as I was just thinking about it, almost unconscious. I mean, yeah. So when I wake up from that kind of stuff, or I'm thinking about it, kind of it gives me a kind of a palette, and then hopefully I can do enough to allow that to surface. So I try and think as big as possible. I don't have the budget or the means yet to do that, but that would be the end goal, and hopefully the writing can stand under that. Yeah.
For sure. I definitely get it. And I admire it. I can tell that you left the interpretation for the audience, just because looking at the character, some of the wording you use in your dialogue, just how everything was set up, I was like, okay, he's purposely doing this. It didn't feel like there was a gap there or there was something missing. Cool. I felt like I can purposely see, I was like, okay, he's leaving a lot for interpretation. And the music and the way the selling was, I was like, okay. So it gave me the emotion that it gave me was wanting to see more.
Oh, cool.
That's why I asked him more about this character. So I think you did a great job with it, and I'm looking forward to see what you're gonna do for 2023. Which leads to my next question: what are some of your goals for 2023 and beyond?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for saying that. One of the goals is to the next project I'd like to do is related to this one in a way, and it's bigger. It would be almost like a mini series if I got to do that. And so I'm working with my animator to make a little trailer so we could shop it around if need be, or just get some eyes on it. But it's big. It would be, I think it would be more black and white almost, to kind of go off this a little bit, but the same type of style. So the big goal would be seeing if I could bring any of that to fruition. And the other goal is to go to New York for a bit, get out of LA for a while. Yeah.
You good if you ever come to New York, man. You know you're good. Let me ask you this. Speaking of just the process and everything, how did you adjust to the pandemic? Was those 2.5 years off, did it hinder your creativity or did it kind of enhance your creativity?
I think it kind of enhanced it just because I was at kind of like a specific crossroads in my own life, and it kind of gave me a chance to recuperate a bit. I was lucky enough to be able to do that. I was lucky enough to just be able to stay in my apartment and not work as much. And so it kind of gave me a kind of a clean slate, and rebuild myself a little bit, and definitely gave me the time to make this and find people who would help me with it, So, yeah.
Cool. So you're originally from outside of Chicago, Illinois area, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What gave you the kahunas to say, I'm moving to LA, man, I'm gonna pursue this? What gave you that?
For sure. My brother was out here 2012. He went to Columbia College in Chicago. In their last year, they moved out to LA for film school. And so I came out here, lived with him and his friends who were all in the arts. And I ended up staying here for about a year, then going to the Bay for art school. And once I was in the Bay, I knew I wasn't leaving California anytime soon because I love it up there. And now I'm back in LA trying to sell myself. But yeah, California is a interesting place. Each city's got its own different vibe. But I feel like the reason I'm here is outside of New York, there's really no bigger creative hub, so I'm just trying to be in the mix a little bit. Yeah.
Well, Random but Relevant, presented by My Block TV. We're here with Griffin Roessler. We want to thank you for being on the show. We're going to leave some room to actually give the audience an opportunity to see this film and see your vision and where you're going. I want to thank you for being on the show, and I want to wish you the best of luck. And if you ever in New York, make sure you give me a call. I think you're doing great work. I think you got a lot of potential. Shout out to you and your team, and just give people your tags one more time before we go.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you can find the work at Darkline Collective on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, possibly Vimeo. But yeah, just DARKLINE Collective. Yeah, that's where everything is. And darklinecollective.com. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
Awesome. That's our show for tonight, guys. Don't forget to check us out every Wednesday, primetime, 9 p.m., exclusively on QPTV Spectrum, and also Saturday at 1:30 on QPTV Spectrum. All local providers, cable providers, please check your local listings. Peace. Stay up with people. Griffin, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.